Thanks for sticking around. We're about to get into Champ Select for Game 2 in this best-of-3 series. The Portsmouth Paladins find themselves 1-0 down to Fearless. Whoever takes this best-of-3 series will qualify for Varsity in the spring. Nymera, how do you think the Portsmouth Paladins mental is going to be after that last loss?
Not great. I think that you have to just let that game go. It was a full-on snowball right from that first play bot lane. We know that Lilia likes to get ahead of the curve and to, make sure that they're just more valuable than the enemy jungler. But when Trilip ends up getting a huge gank bot lane and then the ensuing scuttle fight afterwards with the numbers disadvantage for the Portsmouth Paladins goes wrong, a lot of your early game plan has already gone down the drain. On top of that, having both your solo lanes really go against what you wanted to do as well, and those lanes didn't lose gracefully. It's very hard to play a mid game around that. So I think with that in mind, that would be the kind of scrim where you get to that one play and you just say, okay, all right, let's just call this and let's go into another game. I don't think you can, if you want to win the series, you can't let that affect your mental too much, and you just got to go on to the next game. It's just how it's got to be.
You said it in your first sentence there. Got to let it go. It was a bit of a snowball. If anything, I would say they were frozen out of that one. All we need now is an Olaf first pick. We're definitely going to see Vayne banned away for sure.
I hate you, Stan. We have a Vayne ban.
So the Nidalee also banned away.
It is. So we've seen Nidalee banned away from Trilip throughout all of the times that they've been on stream, even back to when we cast them in the Swiss playoffs back in spring, because we saw Phyllis back then. That was one of the reasons we were excited to cast them coming into this split, because we'd seen them back then and they crushed the Swiss playoff brackets back in spring. This player has been very, very prominent on this pick. Of course, we've now seen that they don't just play the carry junglers, they play the Sejuani and play it very, very adequately too. I think particularly that Vayne ban, though, moving away from Trilip is really important, because I think that Harry needs to be on a comfort champion, because Paladins have played around Harry from ahead so very, very well. The Misfortune didn't do it for me. I know it didn't do it for you in Champ Select. I was wondering whether the combo would work out. It didn't work out well enough, so I really want to see Harry on something with more personal agency.
Okay, well, we are coming down to the last ban. Jhin has not been banned away. Kayle has not been banned away. Two of those real super strong picks. The Galio is actually the champion that was foremost in my mind that I wanted to see banned away in terms of the champions that I felt worked really, really well last time. I felt it did a solid job in support. It enhanced team fights in such a great way. It has been taken away. It does leave the Jhin open. And we're seeing a Draven hover at the moment. That could well be a proxy pick. But I would be very surprised if we don't see the Jhin locked in here.
The team has been hovered again, so that does definitely scream to be proxy pick. I'd love to hear what that is, because we will get back to you shortly with that.
Well, as soon as we know, we will... Oh, okay. So interestingly, Victor, this is a champion that has also seen changes in pre-season. Gone are his Hex Tech items. As a result, you now need to get a certain amount of CS or assists, takedown bonus essentially, to be able to upgrade your Q, your W, your E. Once all three have their upgrade, you automatically get the ultimate upgrade on the Chaos Storm. We do now see the Jhin locked in, and I'm surprised that this one's fallen into Harry's hands.
Very true. Jhin just seems to be the AD carry that everyone wants to get their hands on. No longer is Jhin the champion that falls off. No longer is Jhin the champion with awkward itemization and maybe not the best DPS throughout the game. Jhin is very high damage, can build lethality, the best itemization for AD carries in the game right now. And alongside Leona, this is now a bot lane, which, as we were talking about, has some pretty high personal agency for Harry.
And the Leona got banned away from Zamimi in the second phase last time around. Not going to take the risk this time. Going to get that one locked in. I'd like to see this round completed with a jungle pickup. Get Sammy Youngles on something that he's got a huge amount of confidence in, that he can bounce back on, because it felt like his mentor was a little boom near the end of last game. I honestly would love to see a redemption angle for him.
That'd be the way to do it, you know. Don't fall into the negative thought patterns. Just try and get yourself and break out of them. Come out to a really big comeback game, because this is you've got to do that now. That's the option you have left. You can't just capitulate. You got to stand up and perform. Got to do that versus a Graves, very strong jungler. Again, can build towards. In fact, actually, I know that LS on Twitter was talking about recent Graves builds and saying that actually going towards the full lifesteal build for Graves right now with stuff like a Immortal Shield Bow, going to some various other items, is really, really strong right now. So I'm wondering whether this will be the straight lethality Graves, or whether that build will be picking up some steam in this kind of patch.
That's really interesting to hear, because I was just about to touch on the fact that I came across the Graves recently, and I've seen plays on Reddit and the like, with the Collector Graves being absolutely absurd with what it could do.
With the collateral damage and Dark Harvests.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I was kind of expecting that, but yeah, you've got a very good point there with the lifesteal. It's going to be going up into the Hecarim. Someone in Twitch chat even called this one out. Sammy Youngle's Game 2 Hecarim. They got it absolutely spot on.
Okay, so Hecarim is a champion that can have some early pressure in a way that Lilia doesn't always, because we know that the Lilia in that last game didn't really end up achieving what it wants to do, particularly in the early game. I think one of the problems with that is that Lilia often wants to play around topside. Playing around an Ornn relatively difficult into the Camille because that's normally a losing matchup. But yeah, as soon as the game fell away from that, Lilia was very, very hard to play through it. This Hecarim, though, may be able to just run bot lane, shove someone back into the Jhin Leona if he gets behind them, and start things off very well on that bot side.
The Nautilus, of course, was the final pickup during that phase for the Fearless team. So far, so much happier with what Portsmouth Paladins have done in terms of their draft, taking away the Senna now as well, some of the comfort away from Fallen Rain, and I'm really, really impressed with the way they seem to have bounced back in this champ select. My question is if they're going to have the ability to bounce back on the Rift in the same way as the Misfortune gets banned, because for me it wasn't just they lost out on a couple of kills, they were getting outplayed in terms of macro, in terms of rotations, and it felt like the complete package from Fearless in the last game.
It did, and a lot of that can just be a lot of where there might be weaknesses in the team, they kind of papered over because of the huge lead that they had. We did see a couple of overdives, a couple of plays which went way too long for their liking, and that's when we saw the Paladins start to come back into it. Going to see what the top lane and mid lane matchups are going to be coming in from Fearless now. It looks like they're hovering over something that can threaten the Victor. That's a Fizz.
Yeah, and of course it makes perfect sense at this stage to take the mid lane because you already know that the Victor's been locked in on the other side, so why show a top laner when you can have your mid lane counter pick and then have a top lane counter pick too? Things seem to be coming up Millhouse, by which I mean the Portsmouth Paladins.
Is there a correlation between Millhouse and is there a secret?
There was in the last game, I'll tell you that much.
Oh man, okay.
Fun fact, when I was a lot younger, one of my best friends did have a passing, actually striking resemblance to the blue-haired, glasses-wearing friend of Bart in The Simpsons, and my dad used to call him Millhouse constantly, and he hated it, and then didn't speak to me anymore.
But say, I mean, the sad thing is, because I used to be a massive fan of The Simpsons, my first thought when you said Millhouse was Millhouse Manastorm from Hearthstone. And I know it's not even from Hearthstone, I know it's from Warcraft, but that's the first thought I had. And now the second thought I have is actually, that is not a Victor mid, that's a Victor bot, and the solo lanes are a Akali Camille. That's much more important to talk about.
I almost question if this might be the case by the fact they showed it in the first rotation. Didn't mention it, so I don't get to claim it for myself. We are seeing the Akali and the Camille both locked in, which were played to such great effect by Unks and Bot Khan last time around. The Volibear will be the counter pick instead of the Ornn this time around into that Camille.
Hey, so we have seen Camille's lose out on some early game matchups into the Volibear, and actually Volibear is a matchup which can do well before preseason, could do pretty well into the Camille as the game went on. Not really sure where that stands in terms of itemization nowadays, because of course you don't have very cost-efficient builds which can come out of that Volibear now, like going Iceborne into Black Cleaver or whatever, which are just relatively low-cost builds which have very high efficacy and allow you to impact team fights in a way that Camille can't at that point in the game. So again, we'll have to look up towards that top side, because remember last game, it was Beach really suffering in that 1v1.
I'd like to sort of take you behind the veil of the of Stan's casting world for a moment. Occasionally, I keep an app running on the side where I can just occasionally type in some matchups, see what the percent wins are when that champion goes up against another champion in lane, and thought, what, for interest's sake, Jhin versus Victor, is this something you're going to be able to give me? But no, the app stepped on a Teemo shroom and they did not know how to deal with that request. So we're going to have to see how this one plays out on the Rift instead.
It's been a while since I've seen Victor bot. It would have been during the Awesome Dudes meta of Season 8 when you kind of got rid of AD carries and just had whatever could build more effectively during that time.
They were the days.
And yeah, Swain, Vladimir, all that kind of stuff, which AD carries really, really hated. And now we have that Victor down in bot lane. I remember Deft being one of the better players of that actually ever in career. That's the one thing I've got hanging around in my head of that champion. But so this doesn't change what Fizz wants to do to the Victor in team fights, but in terms of the 1v1 matchup, it is much more contested now, because it's not just about Fizz continually threatening the kill pressure on Victor, because Akali can also do that to the Fizz.
Yeah, we have 2 redemption arcs built up as well here as Nymeria, and only one of them can come to fruition, with the other one being left as unsatisfied as the end of a film noir. And we are going to see a team who got knocked out in round number 1 of this double elimination bracket, losing their first life in Fearless. They now find themselves only 1 game away from going all the way through the losers bracket to secure a varsity spot. On the other side of the rift, we have this team who, let's be honest, underperformed in comparison to what we know they're capable of in the last game, and now will have to reverse sweep if they want that spot.
Well, and while Phyllis may have been hanging on by a thread, that's still in the game. You have to be in the game to win it, and they have stuck in there throughout the lower bracket. And as you were saying, they've taken no prisoners. They did have a 2-1 in, I believe, their first match going through that lower bracket.
Their second, but even so, yes.
The second, yeah,
right.
versus Cabbage Mandem, yes,
yep.
Who were on stream as well. We've also covered that team. So they've come through some notable opponents, and now they have 1 more game to go to secure that spot in varsity. They really do not want to let that go.
No, neither of these teams is going to go down without a fight. I promise you that much. Last time round, it was a dominant performance from Fearless. Let us know in the chat who you are cheering for, who you are expecting to pick up.
I'm cheering for Greyheart, Stan. That's who I'm cheering for.
Greyheart.
Oh. I've got to be a bigger simp than that one person in chat right now. I've got competition.
Is there anyone out there, like just in the world in general, who's meaner to you than I am?
My brother. That's pretty much it. And the thing is, I also cast with him, so there's also well-documented proof of that. Turns out pretty much everyone who wants to swing at me verbally has cast with me, which is, not sure if I like that.
What can I say? Causation is correlation. So, a well-known catchphrase if ever I heard one. Yes, well, you know that we don't hate you that much.
Oh, wow, that's the nicest thing anyone said to me today. That's incredible.
Hell of a day you've had.
Maybe I should get back into playing if I want to get flamed like this. At least I'll try and do soon. Doing something useful with my time, like trying to analyze these team comps. That's what I can do. Again, so we do have the same solo lanes coming out of Phyllis, and having that Akali and Camille really, really scary because we know how well they played those laning phases. I think these lanes are slightly more able to compete with them. I do think the mid lane is going to be a very similar matchup to that Echo one in some ways. However, while Khan showed a real ability, because there's something you do in mid lane matchups where you want to force someone to either hit the wave or hit yourself with damaging abilities, and Khan on the Akali was doing really, really well at forcing the Echo Q onto the wave while taking heavy trades against the Echo. Fizz, you don't really have that same amount because Fizz just wants to damage you, wants to kill you, doesn't really care about pushing in waves in the same way. So this would be very interesting to see if he's got more of a handle over that kind of matchup as opposed to just the anti-wave clear matchups.
I'm fascinated to watch not only how the matchup between a Fizz and Akali plays out here in preseason, but also how Raat plays into Bot Khan, who frankly had his number last time, but Bot Khan did have the early kill to his advantage, so was able to play around that. If things stay a little bit more even, if maybe Sammy Youngles is maybe able to impact that lane in a way that he was not last time, perhaps things change. We will find out whether that change comes through or if Bot Khan continues to be dominant on the Rift very, very shortly. We're just going to take a small break to set things up for our second game on the Rift. Stick around because we'll be right back. once more onto the Rift we arrive. These two teams who have been poised and are in combat since the early hours of this evening are here for game number 2. And things have started out in an interesting way as they both find themselves as 5-man squads on opposite sides of the Rift.
Last game, we looked to the skies. We had a weather report, saw where the stormy weather was heading. This time, we're looking to the stars because that is the new Cosmic Hecarim coming out. I can't remember the actual title of it. The new skin for Sammy Youngles, got that on the Hecarim. And speaking of this, Hecarim really does have a lot of emphasis to the game to try and get one of these lanes ahead.
This is quite an interesting one, actually. Volibear may run into a little bit of trouble depending on the path.
Oh, taking a safe way around. Okay.
Actually, going to find himself safe. Beach playing it smart and not getting caught out.
No, well, in fact, actually, Paladins don't even end up putting down a ward, so they don't even get vision of what's happening. I think they were just looking for that pick, and they saved themselves. Wait, there was one more put down by Trilip, or was it? No, he must have started with the sweeper, because there was no ward put down, it looks like, and he just went and saw if there was any vision in there in the first place.
Okay, an unusual slow start coming in. However, we are going to see this 3-man unit clearing out the red buff, helping Trilip out as much as possible. He had a phenomenal game last time around on Sejuani, playing a very different style champion on the Graves. We'll keep our eyes towards which build we are going to get on that one. We know it is going to be the phase rush regardless.
So we'll be, and this is actually something, again, this is something, a conversation which was being had about these builds on the Graves. Well, what's really what you want on the precision tree on Graves is really nice. You get yourself a lot of healing from stuff like Fleet Footwork. Press the attack is also pretty good on Graves right now. Of course, being able to pseudo auto attack reset with his quick draw, that tends to be something which some of these Graves are going for. However, it will be that phase rush which can run down relatively effectively. We see level 2 hit by Volibear, trying to look for a trade top lane.
Yeah, speaking of running it down, Beach decides to run straight down the lane, but doesn't find any damage onto Unks this time round. Unks was pretty comfortable in the Camille into the Ornn. A very different matchup now, but still winning out in these early trades.
Is doing. You can see the press attack on the Volibear. That's the early game rune. It can potentially allow you to win over some of these early trades. But unfortunately for Beach, not finding the better of them right now, even though he got the early level 2, didn't manage to connect that Q stun into a heavier trade with that press attack, as you were saying. And what that means is that maybe Unks is heading towards a bit more dominance in this early laning phase.
Entirely possible. Still no early game jungle pressure. Not surprising, given that we've got ourselves 2 farming junglers in the Hecarim and the Grave. Certainly not going to get that early impact we had out the Sejuani last time. Root is going to connect from the Deadly Forest. Stripes taking a... was that a 4th shot? Let's say that was a 4th shot.
That's what we're going with. So even though the wave has been pushed in, there's no farm really being denied away from the victor right now. So that's whatever from the side of the Paladins and Fearless. It does mean that Sam Youngles can maybe go towards an uncontested bot lane scuttle. Looks like they are going to do that, as Graves was seen on his top side of the map. What it does mean, though, is Beach has to play very carefully and respectfully on that top side, because the wave's not in a great position for that Volibear to get access to farm and also not be at risk of a gank.
Even so, it's just, as you say, so much nicer a start for Sammy Youngles, finding the camp advantage and also getting the clear time that little bit quicker through from the Hecarim, which is unsurprising, but this time that clear, being quick, was not compromised by early ganks being made by an opposition jungler. Well, it's going to be Trilip getting a scuttle regardless, and it's going to be fairly even between these two junglers. Faster reset coming in from Hecarim will go towards the top side, clear out the Krugs, and then maybe find that first gank.
Got to hope so. So a bit more stable early game already, because we haven't had multiple deaths before that first scuttle spawn. And we have to now see a couple of things. Can Fearless play as aggressively and successfully as they did without the snowball they had in game 1? And can they do that while Sammy Youngles has not been put behind in a matchup where he does want to be ahead once again? So we have, as you said, both junglers heading towards that top side of the map. Fizz managed to push out, get a ward onto that top side of the map. And that does spot Graves, so there is a lot of information for the Paladins to play with.
Yep, Beach taking a bit of damage while trading with Unks. Zenith Blade's going to catch on to Fallen Rain, who's stepping away on the Victor. Stripes trying to play interference as much as possible. Both the ADCs going down below half health. Unks dashing in, Beach taking damage, finding the shield coming from above, but it's Unks who's winning out on these trades and still has that level advantage. Big chomp out of the Volibear though.
So heavy trades on both sides of the map, in top lane and in bot lane. There's the ignite for the exhaust, but this time it's not like there's a particular mid lane advantage. Actually, Fizz missing the playful trick, so that's pretty dangerous now.
Rot gets caught out, but here comes Sammy Youngles. He's going to find a good amount of damage, forcing the flash out of bot. Can't trying to stay in, dashes himself away, doesn't find the end of the line just yet.
Hecarim really works well against melee lanes and works particularly well when you can run from behind the lane and shunt them back into your opposing laner. So Khan pushed up, did have the Graves there luckily, and having the Shroud meant that there were no follow-up autos to be followed through from by that Hecarim. Does get out alive, but that is a flash, and now the teleport blown from the Akali, although at least that teleport will be blown from Fizz. Hecarim looking for a return gank though.
Sammy Youngles comes in, gets the knock onto Bot Khan, who disappears into Shroud. Remember, no summons available for Bot Khan, so losing half health. Coming back to lane, definitely not ideal for this Akali, who's not having even close to the dominant laning phase we saw last time. Hecarim, well, you spoke in the last game, Nightmare, about how Lilia just likes to step in and steal your Raptors away. Hecarim had actually just done that before the regank.
And just going in with a single E, a single trade from the Fizz. Now you have the level 6 on that AP Assassin of that Fizz, but a flash in the bot lane is going to be more important.
Zenith Blade, here comes Sammy Youngle, the pony, trying to take us to the races. Botcan taking a lot of damage, going outside of the Shroud, is going to lead to first blood. Going over to Rad, who flashes them with a flip-flop. The Trident secures the kill.
And we have another flip from the last game. There is no mid lane pressure for Fearless. It is the first blood to the Fizz, and we know what Fizz can do with a lead, or at least anyone who's played against that champion in solo queue as an unfortunate mage certainly does know that.
The dragon's been started up, and this is going to be a first neutral objective of this series. I will take that back, actually, because Sammy Youngles did steal away one Ocean Dragon near the end of last game.
At the death of the game, yes.
Yep. We are seeing a second neutral objective of this series, the first of this game, going over to the Hecarim, who so far has a nice tempo in this game with a one camp advantage over the Graves and a kill well, no kill participation, but definitely a force of summoners, which is practically kill participation in mid.
I've been quite impressed by how Sammy Youngles has managed to impart himself on all lanes but top lane, just in that mid lane and bot lane, because that would be very important. We know how important the kill pressure is to two champions in the Jhin and the Fizz, who do love to just execute their opposing lanes. I guess there is now that question of, Erng's a very capable mechanical player, has that individual lead over the Volibear right now. What's going to happen with that for Fearless? But they do need to show that they can play from what is a deficit right now, as opposed to the snowball we saw in game 1.
Very, very true. Ernst is going to dash away from the damage coming in from the Volibear. That one is fair enough. It's interesting, actually, seeing how Sam Youngles is doing here, and I want to give a huge amount of credit to this Hecarim player, because last time things were not good. He was quite vocal in defeat, and I did have a conversation with our fantastic producer, Patrick Pants Campbell, during the break, and we were saying to each other, actually, is he mental boom? And I'm going to be honest, I said, yeah, I think he might be, but he is not looking it right now.
I guess not. Has managed to put himself onto the map. I'm actually hearing echo of myself in the background. What the heck is going on with that?
I think that might be the Pants playing tricks on us.
You see, I'm glad that you're not just mean to me, Stan. I'm glad that there's some equality amongst all this. And being mean in the top lane are these two different laners. They take a hard trade.
What you don't realise is production actually has me muted now for the rest of the stream. This is continuing these trades. They are very much wet noodle in the top.
Oh yes, I get to chat with my inner demons. You don't get to hear them, but they're there, I assure you.
Oh, I believe it very much. Beach is already 20 CS down and trying to continue this trade, trying to maybe get a solo kill.
Maybe that's what's brewing across the map when you do take hard trades in all of these different lanes. There's always that worry. Jhin, fourth shot, Fizz having just ample amounts of damage, and the DOT fadeaway potential, and of course a lot of auto attack reset burst coming in from the likes of the press attack and the Sheen from the Volibear and the Camille, but now Trilip looking bot lane.
Oh, a massive knock-up comes back. Left charge. In goes Sam Youngles, but it's too late to save the ADC. Harry already dead. Zamimi flashed upon. It's going to be his Dripes helping Fallen Rain secure a double kill. Sammy Youngles said running to the hills on all four legs.
Love that combo from Stripes. Trilip following up really, really well, getting the majority of his damage down in the duration of that CC. No counterplay, immediate death from that bot lane. And that means that, oh, well, in the mid lane, gonna have to stop talking about that.
Yeah, Bot Khan taking a lot of damage, but Ra unable to follow up on this one as Bot Khan does yet again disappear to the safety of the Shroud.
But at least Ra is managing to keep the wave. It's kind of a duality of two things, right? Because you want the wave on your side of the lane as one of these melee mid laners to take good trades, but you want it on the enemy side of the wide lane if you want your jungler to have priority and if you want to have your first roam to different plays. It shows the mentality of what's happening here, but it has led to a 20 CS bonus to this Fizz right now.
Zamimi does not have solar flare up, crucially, so Khan and Stripes not under any threat from the Leona and the Fizz. Meanwhile, we do see that Trilap comes along and decides just to play Shadow just to make sure.
And while I think Fearless will not want to play Shadow, they'll want to play a bit faster, maybe play a bit Sonic, because this game is going a little bit slow and they do want to be snowballing through this Akali and this Camille. They don't really want this team... I'm sorry, did I upset you there, Stan? He's the ultimate life form. Why would you not want to play Sonic?
I thought Shadow, like, the entire point was he was like the clone that actually was like secretly faster and stuff.
You know what? Not gonna lie, I only played one Sonic game my entire life. That was unfortunately not what's happening in top lane, as that's a pretty big trait. And no, the one game I played was Sonic 06, which was an awful game.
Oh, well, no, actually, that's terrible, to be fair. Zamimi is flash out of the bush. That is a 4-man unit down bot side, trying to get some plating onto Harry. Beach is going to eat up a Hextech ultimatum. Unks unable to find much more damage, but dashing back in with a hook shot. Beach in a bit of trouble. Trilip's coming up to help out. He started up the Herald, but instead turns his attention towards a bear instead. In goes the charge. The Rolling Thunder comes in. Meanwhile, on bot side, we see that damage coming through from the ultimate, from the Hecarim. It leads to Harry finding his first kill of the game. Sammy Youngles will take away the second. It's 3 for 3 because the kill does eventually happen in top. 2 for 1 across the map, however, in favour of Portsmouth.
Okay, so another 3 kills coming in across the map. Once again, both these teams showing that they are willing and prepared to cross-map. This time it is going to be that Victor who does have those 2 kills to the name, getting shut down by the flash 4th shot from Harry. And we did talk about how we wanted to see Harry with more agency because he does play aggressively, loves to be the person who's deciding the fate of the game. Now, actually, Akali's going as there's no mana on Rot.
Khan is going a little bit deep and dying to rot. Everything that went well for Khan in the last game has gone to hell in the second.
Just overshoots slightly, doesn't manage to get the last auto, might have auto-cancelled somewhere in that trade, and Rot punishes accordingly. 2 kills on the Fizz, 2 solo kills. This Fizz is very, very happy now.
That is definitely what Portsmouth fans would have wanted to see coming into this game. I'll tell you what, the league fans here on the Null are also hoping to see a bit of a fight back, because I'll tell you what, we love a full best of 3 series. I'm not playing favourites here at all, but I just want to see more league.
That's exactly what I want to see too, when it's as entertaining as this, when it is all about putting everything on the line, leaving nothing to no stones unturned. I was about to say leave nothing to chance, but honestly, the way and how it's been so close, there is a lot of aspect of chance in this. It can just be some skill shots just barely missing. It can be those tiny trades which just go so importantly, well, they become so important in the whole context of the game.
Beach took the worst of the trade in the top side, but while that's happening, a second dragon in the game is being secured by Sammy Youngles and his team on the bottom half of the map. That is a very, very fair trade if you are Portsmouth Paladins. They are now 2 dragons to the good as we see their mountains rise.
So we did mention about Graves and what he could build earlier into the game. So this is going to be the face rush. It isn't going to be anything like the fleet footwork or the press the attack, but it is going to be that immortal shield bow. So it is going to be more of the lifesteal heavy sustained build, and there's not nearly enough sustain in the top lane for that volley bear.
Eddie Flourish does not connect onto Stripes, but he's very much given himself up as a lamb to the slaughter. Beach is going to die on the top side while this happens. Ball and Rain eats a big shot from the curtain call. 4th shot still to come. Is going to catch on to Trilite, but it's not enough to finish him off. Zamimi lives with just a fraction of health. Yet again, a 2 for 1 this time, going in favour of Portsmouth.
The rotation from the Paladins against this Victor with no flash, no exhaust, or at least no exhaust after their play ends, have been really crushing this bot lane. At least the Victor's managed to get some farm, but trying to at least shut down one of these lanes and using that to funnel your own carries has been very important. And now what this means is that as opposed to the huge deficit of about 3,000 that Portsmouth Paladins had in game 1, they have themselves a minor gold lead in this one instead. Harold's going to be summoned mid lane. Losing mid lane turret is pretty unfortunate because this Fizz has been holding that wave at turret so much, and now it's going to be much harder to do that because it's going to allow the Akali to shove it and roam. Maybe gives Fearless a way back into this game, though of course they're absolutely not out of it yet.
I'm really fascinated by the way that so much of this game is playing out. Sammy Youngles looks like the dominant jungler in this game. He's the one who seems to be making the plays. He's been able to get himself the vast majority of these neutral objectives. Trylight, I'm not going to say he's having a bad game by any means, but he's certainly not started off quite as quickly. Has opted into that Immortal Shield bow you talked about during Champ Select. Bot Khan, that matchup has completely flipped, and Ra now finding himself in the dominant position going forward, where he's going to be absolutely obliterating health bars. On the bot side, the urgency that the agency we said we needed for Harry has definitely come to pass, courtesy of Zamimi and Sammy Youngles helping out. We can really see that Fallen Ryan, yes, did get that double kill, looked maybe like he was getting back into the game, but now it's the bot side of the Portsmouth Paladins who have taken over once again.
I think zeroing in a little bit on the Hecarim and Sammy Youngles in particular in this game, I think a lot of the difference between this one and the last is because this Hecarim actually has lanes that he feels comfortable ganking. We know that Lilia is more often than not a top lane ganking champion in the early game because you don't really like to jump into those 2v2 bot lanes, but this is a big 3v3 in the top lane, looks like.
Harry going to steal the red buff away from himself. Dredgeline is going to catch onto Trylight, and Stripes were playing a dangerous game there. I think Stripes probably quite glad that Dredgeline did not connect, because it could have easily been a Dredgeline to his doom.
Could have been. Trylight might have been able to come out with a significant amount of damage, but having the Leona and the Jhin there would have turned the extended trade into something a lot more messy. But we talked about that last game. That's exactly how Fearless love to play. They are a very high variance team. They do go for the coin flip plays this game. Not so many of them to be had, though. The game has been pretty slow, as all things considered.
It is a slightly slower burn, considering that we got to around about 20 minutes last time and had about 25 kills. This time around, just 16 minutes, and I feel like that slower pace, that slightly more methodical style, is actually working in Portsmouth Paladins' favour. I questioned whether they could work around the macro and the rotations that came out of Fearless last time. The answer in this game seems to be yes.
So the whole thing about this game being slower than last game, I don't think it's not glacial. It's still got something to be played around, I guess. There is a Victor in the game. Victor, who's getting access to gold, has Sork boots, has Ludens, will be very impactful in this game. Now we see this side lane matchup, and Rat's going in.
Bot Khan is going to get hit by the Chum the Waters. We're going to see Rat finding the electrocute proc. Bot Khan has gotten Stripes and Trylight coming in for help. We're going to see Dredgeline coming up. It is dodged away by the flip-flop. However, it is going to be Trylight finding his first kill and a shutdown onto the Fizz as well. Meanwhile, Fallen Rain flashing away from Sammy Youngles, who has Harry there as well. Dredgeline falls short. Sammy Youngles comes in as he looks towards Stripes. It's going to be the solo player connecting onto Trylight. So does the Zenith Blade. Bot Khan's putting down some good damage. Deadly Flourish is going to connect onto that massive anchor, and we are going to see Sammy Youngles, Harry, and also Zamimi disengaging.
Fallen Rain just doesn't...
Oh, Beach is somehow turning this one round, but the Hextech Ultimatum's not enough to turn it round. Ernst flash, T-Hextech Ultimatum, it was all in vain. Beach gets the solo kill.
The Gore Drinker coming up huge. It does give you that Hydra active, and it recovers your HP based on your missing health. I don't know about you, Stan. That seemed like a very low amount of health that Volleyball was sitting on. Gets a lot of value out of it. Ernst flashes away and dies in the 1v1 after winning the previous two.
Absolute scenes there in the top side of the Rift. Now we've got 8 kills to 5 in favour of the Portsmouth Paladins. On the plus side, for Fearless, they do have a turret advantage. They're not even 1,000 gold behind. They must contest around this dragon. However, this would be the third of the game should we see Portsmouth Paladins securing it. There is a teleport available for Beach. Ernst is back alive. We could see a big fight brewing. Zamini goes in quite early, takes a big chunk of health. First teleport comes in. Volibear hasn't channeled his just yet. Rat looking for the damage. Onto Stripes, not going to get the X2. Curticle comes through. We're waiting for more shots, but I think that they have now been cancelled. You see Trylight doing what he can. He finds the kill onto Rat. Zamini stunning down Khan as Beach finds 1 kill. The Horde Drinker is there. The Gore Drinker yet again, keeping Beach alive. Ernst is getting good damage down onto Zamimi, but it's not enough. He gets stunned in place. Zamimi lives. Ernst dies. A third dragon goes over to the mountain. Oh, what just happened?
4 for 1 across the board. I really want to praise Zamimi for peeling away the Camille and the Akali off of other members of their team does a really good job of making sure that certain members survive for much longer than they should have done, meaning that damage can't go and just snowball into other members of their team. Only the one person survives, and honestly, Fearless did not manage to set up their battle lines well enough. Rot dives into the backline, at least Trilot manages to pick up that kill, but doesn't do nearly enough damage to the rest of the members of the team. Importantly, Harry on that Jhin, who's putting out so much damage, means that just the DPS check is won by Paladins.
We are getting to a stage where people in chat are already calling it, this is going to be a game 3. I think it's a little early to say that, but things certainly looking very, very good for the Portsmouth Paladins. The game not even comparable to the last.
Absolutely not. I think one of the big things is that you have the Volibear and the Hecarim, and actually the Volibear, speaking of that, getting collapsed on the top side, going in for a dredge line.
Dredge line does hit, but Alex doesn't actually want any of this fight, especially as Sammy Youngles, who's coming from the river, looking for the charge down, not going to fight the Onslaught of Shadows this time around. Tri-Life and Botcan clearing out the vision, unable to find Rat, who's completing a recall in the jungle, and it is actually going to throw Chun the water straight onto that Graves. Meanwhile, Sammy Youngles finding himself knocked up, shut down by the Victor, who gets a big chunk of gold. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Rat being chased out by Tri-Life, decides to try and find a kill, but will not be able to do so.
Close run stuff, the shield bow coming in clutch, much like the Gordranker did for the Volibear against the Camille. The extra healing, the extra shield comes in so clutch, and actually emboldened by those teal kills across the map, it's going to be Fearless starting up a early Baron.
There are question marks for me around this one, especially as the root connect onto Khan goes once again into the shadow, able to escape with just a sliver of his health. Here comes the curtain call. What? Stop! He's because of the goddamn collector! Fallen Rain gonna get stunned up as well. That's gonna be Teddy Flourish not connecting. Blastcone's not there. They left the kill for Harry, but he did not find it. But my word, he found the one onto the Akali.
If that W lands, the collector probably finishes off Fallen Rain too. And now Ra is getting collapsed on. That Baron start really not paying off for Fearless.
Big old question marks for that one. Now the Baron's being started up by Portsmouth. I thought they were playing this game slow. I thought they were methodical, but they want to put their throat right. They put their foot right on the throat of Fearless right now. But they are being collapsed on. Mini finds the flash, finds Trilite, wants to remove the smite from the fight. He jumps over the wall. It's going to be Sammy Youngles killed off by Fallen Rain. Dripes is going to die, making it a 1-4-1. Remember, Akali is not in this fight. Does not have teleport. Cannot join. Cannot save Trilite's life. Volley finds a kill. It's going to be the Baron. It's not started up once again because Sammy Youngles did die on the side of Portsmouth.
But dangerously, you can't start up the Baron now because Chaos Storm's back available. There's another item on Victor, has the Zhonya's Hourglass, and with having those penetration boots to the Sorcerer's shoes, you just cannot sit in that Baron pit and expect you, with that amount of HP, to make it out alive. They managed to stop the Baron from Fearless, they then start it themselves, and both teams who start the Baron end up getting punished for it and honestly lose out from those attempts.
I believe I'm correct in saying that there was a very slight gold swing in favour of Fearless just there, just because of shutdowns they got and getting the kill on the Sammy Youngles. That being said, however, look how much of a monster Harry is. And so many times when this Portsmouth team are to succeed, it is on Harry having his greatest games. He's looking good on the Jhin, which I was frankly shocked got that far through the Champ Select stage. And he's looking to make Fearless pay for it.
Absolutely agreed. This Jhin, if they're allowed to sit and free fire, will be doing ample amounts of damage for his team. I was actually more surprised by the Victor because I look at the Jhin's KDA and we've seen a bit of Jhin now, and I'm like, okay, so he's probably going to be doing so much. The first shot I was very surprised at because the collector ends up just popping Khan on that Akali. Then we see Sammy Youngles go in, and he disappears. He just goes. That Victor comes in with a huge burst, managed to get the Q combo with the death of Ray 2. Didn't even have the ult for that fight. So I think that if we're going forward into this, it will be a bot lane carry show. We're going to have to see which one survives. If you funnel in and don't manage to cut down those carries from the bot lane, you're going to really regret it.
I'm sure a lot of you realise already, but it is the Dark Harvest on Harry's Jhin as well, so that extra little proc when there are low health bars. We've got a 4th dragon of the game spawning in less than a minute. This would be a Mountain Soul were it to be secured for the Portsmouth Paladin. It would give them that Malphite shield essentially on every single one of their champions.
Okay, so this is a very important moment. Can we see a collapse or a punish of people funneling through one area? No, it doesn't look like it. The Paladins have made their way into the river and Fearless, and will now have to choose their terrain a little differently.
Erk's trying to zone Rat out. Beach just stepping up, completely unafraid of Trilight, getting some damage down onto bot Khan. The Death Ray going to go wide for now for Trilight, who does have that upgrade. I will check, sorry, not for Trilight, for Fallen Rain. I will check how many upgrades he's got in just a moment. Fourth dragon of the game has spawned onto the rift. No one started it up just yet.
No, it does look like Victor has every single upgrade and the fight starts.
Zenith and Solar Flare onto Khan, who is in a lot of trouble. Onslaught of Shadow straight onto Stripes, has been completely forced out of the fight. Beach doing what he can to zone Harry yet again with the Collector finding the kill onto the Akali, but he gets taken out by Erks. Now it's Volibear who's found himself 2 kills. Trilight, one of the few surviving members of this fight, looking to get obliterated by Sammy Young, chasing down. Beach finds a triple kill on the backside. Ron did die in the end to Erks, but that's not going to stop the Dragon and the Soul going over to the Portsmouth Paladins.
We see a number of key dive attempts work, but then also not work in the same level. The Victor gets shut down by the Fizz, and Jin does manage to, even though they die, Jin gets to kill while they are also going down. This will be the Mountain Soul now over to the Paladins, and that is a worthy prize for this team.
Certainly is. Of course, Baron's still available should they want to look for any kind of reset. The death time is not that long for Trilight and Co, however, so I don't think we're going to see it started up just yet. All of a sudden, a big advantage gained in that Soul. However, it is still only a 2,000 gold lead. That is not big numbers, as Beach's recall does get cancelled out. Looks for the fight on towards Erks, but I think the Camille winning this one out and has friends for company too.
The thing is, once again, much like in game 1 with Beach, in fact, he was playing the Ornn, and even though you have the Camille, it still takes you a while to kill that champion, and this Volibear included, right? And that means that Zamimi, who's been having an awesome game on the Leona, can make it to those fights. Sammy Youngles in the Hecarim, who moves so quickly across the map, can also make it to these fights, and of course, Jin has the range to do so as well. Each of these times you want to go for an extended trade, you have to be very worried and calculate very effectively where the rest of the Paladins are.
We saw Harry there, not happy to wait for Uber Eats, instead wanting to get himself a good portion of chicken, and he takes that one away from Erks, who has to go crying back into the top side of the jungle. Sammy Youngles looking to get the catch on towards Stripes, has company as well, so dashes straight in. Onslaught of Shadows available as we see a teleport coming in, collapse onto Sammy Youngles. This is a really dangerous moment for the Portsmouth Paladins. Remember, the gold lead is not that significant. Erks gets absolutely obliterated, finds the Hextech ultimatum and gets shut down. That is going to be Bot Khan finding the kill onto Harry before he's able to find anything with the Collector, and Graves finishes off Sammy Youngles. It's 2 for 1 in favour of Fearless.
Jin can't keep himself safe. Let's see if Volibear can.
Zamimi looking to try and help out Beach, but Beach doesn't want any help. He's 6-2-4 with the Gore Drinker. Khan being chased onto by Rat, and the mid lane battle is clearly won by the Portsmouth Paladins mid laner this time round, as the double kill comes in. Rat even surviving a turret shot for good measure.
This Victor just cannot find a position to stay safe. There is no one able to peel for him from the likes of the Hecarim and the Fizz and the Leona. There are too many targets to try and keep this Victor safe from, whereas the Jin is at least got less threats to be worried about. Does go down in that fight, but it doesn't matter. It's a 4 for 1 all said and done.
I can say that Fallen Rain has now got the glorious evolution, which means all 4 evolutions are now there. All the extra damage will be coming through from the Chaos Storm. We saw that he's able to do things in fight. He's running that 4-4-3 scoreline. But when you look at what Beach is doing right now on this Volibear, it's absolute disgusting. Titanic Hydra completed that Gore Drinker. It feels like he shouldn't be this damn tanky, but the bear is making the Fearless team's life hell.
And then having Tabby, which is really important because even Victor does auto-attack damage, and that'll be 10% damage off of his Q and all that other stuff, right? Or actually, how much damage does it remove nowadays? It removes 12%. Ah, even more than I was thinking. It gives you the ability to drain tank through this Fearless team much more effectively than you might think. Having the 2 Mountain Dragons is not something which Fallen Rain has. He's getting collapsed on. And that will be the kill coming over onto the Victor. 40 seconds now on the death timer. We have a Baron start up by the Paladins, and at the really crucial moment, Fallen Rain once again caught out of position.
He is indeed. Fallen Rain going to get absolutely eviscerated by the deadly flourish. Now the Baron looks certain to be started up.
Will be. So I don't know if there's any way to really contest this. We talked about how dangerous it is doing this against the Chaos Storm, but there is no Fallen Rain to contest here.
There is not. With him dead, TriLife is still alive. He is potentially the only one who can stop this from going down in favor of the Portsmouth Paladins. Am I right in saying we're at 28 minutes, 30 seconds?
28 and 50 seconds. We've gone a little bit further. Had some technical difficulties, it looks like. Would you like us to pause for you, Stan?
Yes, if we could, please, because I can't see anything that's going on. Can we go back to like 28 minutes, 30 seconds so we can have what looks like a fight that I missed?
We cannot go back. Unfortunately, the stream continues ever onwards right now. We're seeing...
That is back. 29, 20, that is forward.
That is very forward.
Hold on. I am...
Okay.
I am...
So it would not be a stream of any renown. We did not have any technical difficulties. Thank you for dealing with it at this time, and we'll pause at that time. Okay, 29-20.
Yep, all good. Apologies for the technical difficulties on my end there. I think I had a little blip on the internet and missed about 20 seconds of play. And by missing that play, it looks like I missed some pretty insane action. So my apologies.
I was terrified, Stan. I had to solo cast. There was a Baron. There was some kills. There was a return kill onto the volley bear under the mid lane in a turret. So at least one of those Baron buffs is gone. The gold isn't out of reach from Fearless right now, but there will have to be an Elder Dragon fight in the next couple of minutes because, of course, that Mountain Soul being on the Paladins. It's going to be really, really something to see if Fearless can come back in this game. Sorry, pause where, Patrick?
All right, I am paused at 30.
29-30.
Okay, well, we are back again, just... Sorry?
Yes. Yes. I was at 29-30. I was... Oh, gosh. Patrick, would you like to call out a timestamp? 30-20. Lovely. I love it when you're clear with me, Patrick.
I apologize for the small issues. Just something up.
Lovely.
We will
Hello.
be bringing you back into the game in just a moment. I'm ready to go into our production. Just
I'm
waiting.
Also ready.
Okay, again, apologies for the small issues there. That Elder Dragon to which Alex was just referring, spawning in less than 1 minute's time. So Mimi narrowly missing there with the Zenith Blades. Each stripe is just going to come along and take a bit of vision away, but it's a huge amount of vision, especially when you look at these captive audience traps that are being put down by the Jhin.
And, you know, while we might have some issues on stream, it's going to be slightly better, maybe, than the situation that Fearless have themselves in. Because, of course, they would love to seal out the series. And they have some real issues dealing with how they're going to try and take down Harry. It's on such a fed Jhin. And honestly, this Victor is just not doing enough in these fights.
I'm interested by how this one plays out, because Camille has the teleport available and can join. Beach still missing it for a few seconds more, but it's going to be TriLife who's caught out. Rat putting down so very much damage. Solar Flare bashed away from by TriLife. It's not enough to keep him alive, and with the jungler dead, Elder Dragon may well now be secured by this rampaging Portsmouth Paladin team.
Fizz just doing what they do best and making carries suffer. Now, teleporting to the top lane looks like actually the Elder is not going to be contested by Fearless. They want to go through topside.
They want to try and pick themselves up an inhibitor as the trade, realizing they're almost certainly going to lose this soul. They'll wait that one out. They're going to find good damage also onto Beach. They're going straight in for the execute onto this big old volley there with the Gore Trinket, the Hextech ultimatum. Here comes the Mimi for company, and he's in time to save the turret, but not the big cuddly bear.
Dangerous stuff. If Jhin had made it back and had the curtain call because of the Collector and the Elder Dragon burn, that would have been 2 dead solo laners from Fearless. As it stands, the Elder Dragon did go to the Portsmouth Paladins. They did get that objective. They don't lose themselves a tower. It's just a kill on that top side in return for that teleport invested by the Akali. And Fearless, they look rudderless right now.
True, but for a game that feels like it's been so dominated by the Portsmouth Paladins, I do feel like I have to give credit to the fact that Fearless are still only 4,000 gold down. 32 minutes, that is not a hell of a lot.
But there's only so much you can talk about the gold when you see the way the fights are turning out, and it doesn't look like it's close. This Graves can't survive against the Fizz. There's just too much CC, and the range is too low for Fearless to deal with the likes of Hecarim, who thrives in a low-range environment. Same with Leona, same with Fizz, and with Volibear. So many of these champions are making it so hard for Fearless to perform in these fights.
You are, of course, right. I just feel like maybe if something were to go right for Fearless, they could find their way back into it, but right now, Portsmouth Paladins, they're trying to guarantee that doesn't happen as Zamimi flashes in, finds the stun from the Shield of Daybreak, and Zamimi is doing absolute work on this Leona, finding the kill onto the Akali, just to resonate how incredible a game this 1 and 17 Leona has had. Sammy Youngles is eventually going to die to the Camille, but double kill actually as Ra chases down and gets absolutely shot to pieces. That ends up being a 3 for 3, and now the inhibitor is being defended as we see Unks going in, but remember, this is still against an Elder Dragon buff. Zamimi, who would have died had the opposition had the Elder Dragon, escapes to live another day. Beach, however, being chased down by Fallen Rain, who's got the slows. Beach trying to get the heal from the Gore Drinker. Unks unable to find the slow, but Fallen Rain takes the kill. It's a 4 for 3, defending the inhibitors to Fearless. I told you they could do it. I told you the gold mattered.
It did matter. It ended up being the Portsmouth Paladins trying to chase under too many turrets and not being coordinated against it. When they're trying to close out the game, they let it slip out of their grasp. Let's see how much Fearless can recover off of that play.
You had one moment with your capture and let it slip. Well, Portsmouth are going to have to hope they have more than one moment, because that moment they absolutely did let slip. As you say, Nightmare, we have got an absolutely great game on our hands here. So many of those Elder Dragon buffs were just removed from the Rift.
It's huge. I guess now we do see a lot of the items and a lot of that gold off of that last push, even though, of course, the gold advantage, the net gold gain went in the favor of Fearless. There has been gold spent by the Paladins. Importantly, there's an infinity edge on Harry. Having that item on top of the 40% crit chance from the Collector and the Rapid Fire Cannon means that up to the 60% chance, there's a lot of extra crit damage being calculated by that infinity edge. Of course, Jin doesn't crit in the same way as regular AD carries, but he does benefit from that crit damage. Now we see Khan maybe can collapse on the top side.
Harry certainly is going to be the fast now, and he's going to be very, very difficult to deal with in these fights, but we have, in our last couple of fights, seen Fearless be able to deal with it, and a big part of that comes from Fallen Rain, who's been having an outstanding game on the Victor, third highest CS in the entire game. Baron is now spawning in just under a minute's time.
So I guess we need to keep talking about these items, talking about how these champions want to fulfill certain areas in the team fight. Is this going to be another Fizz assassination onto a key target, or is it going to be Rat once again diving too deep, because we saw Rat fall down trying to take down the Victor. Victor now has a Void Staff, 4 items. That's a lot of extra magic penetration onto the... Oh, it's a big fight actually. We may have to stop talking about items. Let's talk about the fight.
Forcing up the mid lane is Fearless, who have been caught. However, they step themselves out to safety, dodging away from a huge on-rushing horde of Paladins. They're able to stay alive this time, and Unks actually finds some damage onto Zamimi, who's slightly isolated. We can see Deadly Flourish thrown out for protection for Leona, who lives yet again. Sammy Youngles finds the kill onto the opposition jungler's try. Life dies. Sammy Youngles might be about to fall to Fallen Rain. It's Unks who picks up that kill, and Unks finds Leona as well. Unks doing the Lord's work. He is 9, 3, and 5. It's going to be Fallen Rain who takes down Rat as well. Beach is getting wiped, and this could actually possibly even be the game going over to Fearless, because they have just wiped the Portsmouth Paladins. Only Jin survives. He throws out the curtain call, but he's finding Unks about to collapse onto him, and he can't even fire out the 4th shot. The inhibitor turret is under threat. We've got 40-second death timers on most of the Portsmouth Paladins. Is this GG? Is this varsity for Fearless?
We've got to see, right? I mean, Jin is strong, but is it strong enough to take on 4 members of Fearless? I don't know if you can walk up and wave clear.
Door bonus is indeed going to come into effect because the minions are surviving. Harry's being zoned by Fallen Rain. The Nexus is exposed. Fearless have come out of nowhere to claim this game and take the 2-0 sweep against Portsmouth Paladins.
And technical difficulties be damned, we did end up showing you the end of that game. It could not stop us. A victory from behind, and not in the series, but only just in that game. It will be the 2-0 sweep from the Leicester team, and we will be saying goodbye to the Portsmouth Paladins.
We will indeed. I can't believe how quickly that game swung. One moment we saw a fight being lost fairly conclusively by the Portsmouth Paladins at the opposition inhibitor, and then one overforce, one failed fight, one incredible series of plays from Unks' Camille, and the game was donezo. And just like that, we know another of our teams that have qualified for Varsity next split.
It's well deserved. We saw both sides of the playing from ahead and playing from behind from Fearless. And when they were playing from behind, they didn't continually fall behind. They ended up knowing which side lane was winning, namely that Camille. Unks ended up being a huge reason as to why they won that game. They were struggling in team fights, struggling to work against that, as we mentioned as part in times during that game. Volibear, Hecarim, Fizz, Leona doing really well in short-range environments. But then suddenly, the last couple of fights, Fearless ended up spreading out a bit more, able to peel back, maybe sacrifice one person, and actually in the last fight it was Trilip on the Graves with the shield bow and the Bloodthirster with the Overshield. Had enough time bought with that alongside the Zhonya's from Fallen Rain's Victor to at least extend the fight through to the next round of rotations and kill off the priority targets.
And Nymera, I'm not going to do my best impression of the Hives on you and start singing Hate to Say I Told You So, but I just had this feeling that because they'd kept that gold lead as close as it was, that a small slip up like the one we saw around the Fearless inhibitor could easily come back to bite Portsmouth, and all of a sudden 2 fights in a row, that's literally all it took. And massive credit to the way that Fearless finished that one off. Unks, most damage in the game, followed by Fallen Rain on the Victor, who was consistently outpouring damage with this champion, showing just how relevant it is in the current meta. Obviously, changes with not having to buy that Hex Core anymore, opening up the avenues to pick up different items and get those upgrades potentially sooner, depending on how you CS and how many kills you're involved with. 7, 5, and 8. That's how many Fallen Rain was involved with.
Absolutely, had a huge amount of damage through that game too, almost cresting that 1000 DPM mark. And those last couple of fights ended up being about a 6,000 gold swing all in all. It was just 2 back-to-back. And remember that one to the Inhibitor, that was against an Elder Dragon. That's against accepted wisdom of not fighting that buff. It is too strong. You don't fight for that. Well, if you have the cojones, if you have the bravery, and you can end up calculating the correct amount of damage and the amount of HP you got left, that's what happens. You can end up having one of these great comebacks.
Absolutely great stuff there, and it sounds like there's been absolutely great stuff in our other varsity qualification match as well between ESSKT and Heartstuck. They are currently poised at 1 game apiece, and we are going to be able to go into that game after this small break.
want to fall asleep. Our love is like a thunderstorm racing through my heart. I don't wanna be away from you.
Yeah.